Hello and welcome back to the ministry. I was sitting here trying to figure out a best way to approach talking about this. In this season, God is preparing to open doors. This is a season that God is shifting things. Everybody is in different phases of the shift. So some may be in a moving phase, some may be in a season change, some may be in a marriage shift, some may be in a financial shift, some may be in so on and so forth. But in this change and this shift happening, God is opening doors. I heard a minister say this one time, that she had a dream that she was going somewhere and she was on the train and somebody came alongside her and took her bags and carried them to her next destination for her. Every season that I have had to shift and or move, there's always been some sort of assistance that allowed me the ability to get what I needed to the next location, especially when it came down to me carrying things. I remember it was about a year, 2 years ago, somewhere in 2020, somewhere around June 2020, I was moving from one location to another location, and I had to take all of my property. It wasn't much that I was allowed to take at that time, and I took what I needed, but I had a lot to take. And I remember that day, it was this young woman I had never met before. We'd been in the same building for a while, but it was weird. She came to meet me and my roommate that morning, and she stayed with us until the property was transported to the next location. Now, once we got in the door, I don't know where she went. I didn't see her again. But she got what I needed to carry to the destination. Now, it was a trip and a half to get it to where it needed to go. The devil played with it, all kinds of, but I got it upstairs to where it needed to be. I should have never taken all that. But yeah, we got through it. But even when I transitioned, I transitioned something. What is it? Oh, I had some property I had to go back to the old location to get a couple of months prior to that. And the day I needed to go get it, the vehicle, the company that I was using was able to come to the location to pick up the property. And it was interesting because they would only pick it up if it was in that borough and take it to the next location, which worked out perfectly because it was in the same borough to transport it to the next location. And the gentleman, and it was funny because there was a bunch of confusion that happened that morning to get transfer the property from one location to the other location. He couldn't find where I was standing at, all kinds of foolishness. But when he found me, he was able to take the vehicle and transport the property from where I was to where I needed it to go. I didn't have to lift it. I didn't have to touch it. And he even said, this is how I know it was God, because he wasn't even supposed to touch the property, but he made sure that I was pulled off of the van so that I could take it into the location that it needed to be transported into. A lot of people need assistance in this season to get where they're going from where they are. Where I am, I have a suitcase, a bag, and some electronics. I could probably pack down my electronics and all that type of stuff and get certain things where it needs to be. get that in a book bag, so on and so forth. That stay on me. Now, from my understanding, with a flight, I believe you can have 2 carry-ons, meaning I can have my carry bag and one that can go in the upper carry-on if I was to take a flight somewhere. So everything I need needs to fit into 2 things, which I believe I'm set for that. Some stuff I'm probably going to take out of my suitcase if I have to fly. I'm not sure if I am going to be flying. When I went to my last location, they had an undercarriage that my suitcase was brought here on. So I was able to see where they put it in the undercarriage. Now, this time, I'm actually at a disadvantage. If anybody has seen me, you've always seen me using my hands. You see this? I can't straighten this finger. Why? I do not know exactly how I did it, but I managed to, I dropped the orange, and when I was falling, I rammed my hand into the corner apex of a drawer and the counter, trying to catch this orange from falling. Now, when I did it, I was like, oh, I must have just bruised my hand. No, I didn't. I haven't been able to go to the doctor to have it checked, but I more than believe that I have fractured this finger, because I can't bend it. The tip of this finger is real close. You can see there is a crack. It's literally bent right at the tip. Right at the tip, it's bent. I cannot straighten it here, and I cannot bend it here. So that finger is messed up. This finger, I cannot bend. The pinky, I cannot bend. This finger, I can bend somewhat, but if the knuckle pops, and I'm not sure about the tip, and this finger is sore all the time. So I do not know for certain, but it's a potential that my hand is broken in 4 different places. And I never went to a hospital to have it reset, so I do not know. This is my dominant hand. I do everything with my right hand. If I were to have my hand reset, if I went to the doctor to do anything to my hand, I would not be able to use it. It's another reason why I have not gone to a hospital to have it taken care of, because I still need operational ability on a day-to-day basis to cook, to clean, to do all of this kind of stuff. And I can still use my hand. If I had to travel and I had to repair this hand, I wouldn't be able to carry anything. I have no strength in this hand to be able to carry anything. Anything that needs to be pulled, anything that needs to be held in any intense grip, my hand doesn't even close. See, this is all my hand does. I cannot close my hand fully. So I cannot pull, I cannot grip, I can't do anything with my right hand. This is my dominant hand. Yes, I can pull things with my left hand, but I don't have the strength in it like I do with my right hand. And the fact that it's so badly injured, I can't do anything. If I had to leave and pull and transport what I have, I would really need help to get where I needed to go to transport. I don't know how that's going to occur. I do not. I don't know if the Lord is sending. See, there's been 2 messages that have come past me in the past few days. But that spiritually a move is going to occur. Some say you're the one that have to initiate the move, meaning you have to go to where God is showing you to go, whether you have the money or not. But there's also a contradictory word that says God is going to bring the finances, the things in which you need, and the transportation in order to get you there, and maybe even an assistant to make sure that you are transported to where you need to go. So God is opening the doors, and when God is opening a big door, I believe it's Isaiah 52 or Isaiah 54 that talks about God opening gates. That as God is preparing to open gates, which is a ginormous door, He will usually send people to usher you into it, meaning He will either send people with the finances or the transportation to get you to that next location. Some will maybe even be the ones that will transport you to that next location. You may have somebody that drives you to your next location. You may have somebody that travels with you to your next location. But it's who the Lord has designed and designated to make sure that you arrive to your destination in time, on time, and where you need to be. I released a word previously. You'll know it because if you go on my videos, it's the only one that has an envelope. It's called the invitation. I have yet to receive the invitation to go to where I'm supposed to be going, but I spiritually know that the time is coming. Some of you are waiting on an invitation to get where you need to go. When the invitation occurs, everything is going to either line itself up, meaning somebody will come to you to make sure you are transported to your next location, or the Lord will provide you what's necessary in order for you to shift into that next thing. Some of you, it's financial. Some of you receive a financial blessing. I was listening to a word this morning where it was talking about there are certain monies that are coming to certain people. The other prophetess I listen to, she always speaks of financial releases. In seasons of uncertainty where you are being prepared to shift, God will provide the opening of an open door where He will shift you into something, and your miracle is you get the finances to shift into that thing. Last year, I got a financial release of $5,000. I don't know what my financial release is. God showed me a couple of different forms of financial releases that were going to be released to me, and they came to me suddenly. I didn't know when it was, how it was, but it came to me. I'm not sure when and what this financial release is, or if it's going to be initiated by a person. But 9 times out of 10, when God is preparing to bless you, He blesses you through a person. You have to be open to being able to receive from the person in which God is trying to open the door for you. I remember the day that I received the financial blessing, I had a dream that a door was opening. Actually, it wasn't a dream that a door was opening. It was a dream that someone was knocking on the door. I was like, oh. And then this person randomly messaged me, texted me, or called me. I think they texted me and said, I have something for you. I want to send it to you. And I was like, oh, okay. I hadn't heard from, this was a family member I hadn't heard from in a while. And they were like, oh, I want to send this to you. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I figured, oh, you're just going to send me a couple $100. It was $5,000. This is how some of your blessings will come to you in the season. God will, especially if He has a place for you to be and there's a shift, God is either going to send somebody to you, or He's going to have a contact you. Meaning the person is going to randomly call your phone, email you. Years ago, I remember, it's an influencer I follow. And she always talks about God. She has her moments as some things that aren't ungodly, but she does. But I can tell that she's very much a lover of Jesus Christ. But she, this particular time, was talking about how when she got connected with Prince, the musician, they emailed her and said, we want to call you. And she was like, wait, excuse me? You? And she thought it was a bogus email. She was like, this ain't his people. So she gave them her Google number, and they messaged her back and said, we need your actual phone number. What is your phone number? She was like, and she had to use spiritual wisdom. She prayed about it, and she said, okay, I'm going to give you my actual number. When she gave them the actual number, he was the one that called her directly. Okay? There's some things that I know that the Lord has already shown me in relation to some contacts that I'm supposed to be receiving, and confirmation about the contacts being made. Don't know when they're going to be made and how soon and for, because I have time frame, but it's 2 different lengths of time. One's a short time frame, one's a long time frame. I don't know where in which it's supposed to happen. Some of y'all are in the same boat. You know something's about to happen, but you don't know, is it now or is it later? Was this supposed to be just a notification that something was going to happen, or is it going to actually happen? Was that a marker in the spirit that, okay, this is the time, but it's a marker to let you know that this action needs to be taken in order for this thing to manifest? Now, I remember when I needed to move to come here, I was like, Lord, is this the time, and is this the time frame? And it's like, he gave me the actual day and time, and I had everything in place in order to make that shift. The contact, the shift, transition, everything was in order. Everything transpired for me to be able to shift from one location to the next. So God is preparing to open the door for you to get where you need to go. Some of y'all, they're opening doors for homes. Now, I can't take credit for this. Dr. Jolene Whitaker released this morning. She was saying that some people in the next 4 days are going to be receiving homes. She said that. I ain't saying that. Some of y'all are in need of it. We all in need of it. Some of y'all are going to be shifted from one location, meaning you're going to go from where you are to across town. Some of y'all going to go from where you are to across the United States. Now, because of that, it takes different things. And because of that type of monumentous move, because the initiation of that move may be the, what's the word? Thing that's going to catapult you into the shift that you really need. For some of y'all, I've said it before, are in your wedding season. And some of us ain't getting married where we are. We're getting married where we're going. And God has already shown me the location in which he wants me to go. But I don't know that that's where the wedding is happening. I just know that I'm supposed to go to another location. And I'm sitting waiting on bated breath for the next information, finances, and so on and so forth for that to occur. Some of y'all are getting ready to be moved to your stable location. Some of y'all be getting ready to be moved into your marriages. It all depends on where the Lord has been telling you and where you have been praying into. I know where I've been praying into. Where you've been praying into, the door is going to open. Some of y'all, I heard this word from Ray. What is the name of her ministry? I cannot think of it off the top of my head. I would have to look it up. But she has this young girl I listen to. Her words pop up, and see, I know in the spirit led when her words pop up, because it's usually right in ordinance with what the Lord's trying to show me and tell me in that day. And some of y'all, this lottery with the mega $1 billion release that is about to occur, some of that money is yours. I don't know whether God's going to have somebody give it to you, whether God's going to have you play it, whether God's going to have someone else win it and they are going to end up giving you part of it. I'm the type of person, unless the Lord himself said, go get you a ticket, I'm not doing that. I know that how I am when I receive tickets like that. I think too much, and I will think myself right out of the blessing that will come from that. But there's also certain spiritual warfare that comes with receiving that amount of money. If you don't know how to manage it, there's a siphoning spirit that's coming right after to take that money away from you. Okay? So you need to be wise in understanding how to operate with that, okay? Some of you will receive something like that. It will be a lottery windfall. But understand, with a lottery, there come ramifications with that. Meaning, it's not coming right away. You're going to have to claim it. You're going to have to sit and wait for it to go through whatever legal proceedings. You're going to have to take your taxes off the top. Please do that. And then you are going to have to financially place that. If the Lord has the audacity to bless you with that, you must secure every dime. Some of you, it may be that you get it in installments, meaning you will get installments once a year for the next several years. Some of you, if you do get it in bulk, whatever the Lord is blessing you with, that you would have to have it put into a financial management system so that it can properly be distributed into the places and spaces that the Lord desires for you to do it. What does the word say? He makes you a good steward of what you have. You can't get a huge amount of money like that and be sitting there thinking, I'm going to go and I'm going to go spend it, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to make financial investments. Because let me tell you something, the second that you do that, the second you receive that money, there is a siphoning spirit that it is going to come after you to try to bring you right back down to the comfortable level in which it desires for you to be. It's a word, did I release that word yet? I'm talking about spiritual allowances. It's a place that you are spiritually, where the enemy likes to keep you under an oppression of a spiritual allowance. Part of it is mindset. Part of it is spiritual warfare. If you don't have the right mindset, you're not going to be able to surpass a certain level. But if you do surpass that level, and you don't understand spiritual warfare, there is a siphoning spirit that will siphon that money off through bad negotiations, bad deals, and the enemy is always going to come to try to siphon that money away from you, especially if you are a wealth carrier. Okay? So, if the Lord blesses you with a monumentous amount of money, understand, you need to make specific financial arrangements. Get spiritual wisdom on your investments, where you're putting that money. Make sure that you're making money mutual accounts, making sure that you're having good, your credit is taken care of, making sure you pay off all debts, taxes, all that type of stuff, so that you are covered. Making sure that you're sowing into the places the Lord's calling you to sow that money, so that you can get a multiplication off of your seed that will keep you in that financial state, meaning you will not dwindle and lose. But it also protects your money from the siphoning spirit that's coming against your finances. Make sure you have a spirit-led financial advisor. Don't go out here just getting anybody to be your financial advisor. Make sure that you find yourself, that the Lord leads you to the Christian, spiritually led financial advisor that's going to help you maintain your finances. So, know this, okay? With that, what I talked about, financial, marriage. Some of y'all going into marriage. I don't want to stay here too long, but I will say this. Sometimes the Lord's form of restoration to you is your marriage, meaning you going into the new land that which God has promised you. You need a covering to protect you in that place in which God is sending you. And those of you that have been praying into marriage, God's going to send your spouse. Sometimes your spouse is already living in the land in which you are supposed to be going into, and you going to that land, you are going to meet them and you may marry them. Some of them you will marry in a matter of days, months, weeks, less than a year. I was listening to a story yesterday with a person that said that they got a word that they were going to get married in September. They met their God-ordained spouse in October and was married by December. God will restore you through marriage. There's a passage in the Bible that talks about Bertha is your land is beautiful. Your land is married. In order for you to come into the fullness of the inheritance of the land in which you are supposed to walk into, you must be married. Your marriage will initiate the financial transfer of the wealth necessary in order for you to be financially secured. Ruth, Esther, so that you can do your ministry work. Some of you are called to do certain specific things in the kingdom. You're called to do certain specific things in certain industries. Your spouse is anointed to cover you for those places. I know mine is. I had to be prophesied over a couple different times in relation to it. I think I've been in denial. And I'll admit that. I think I've been in denial about the fact that a lot of stuff that I've been trying to put my hands to has not been working because I'm waiting on some of that stuff to come into alignment. And some of that stuff will not open up until. So, Lord will open things up. There's things that I've been, God's given me wisdom, God's given me ideas, God's given me plans, but it may not all come together the way that I'm expecting until that part of my life is in order. And God has an order of things. It was interesting, one of the young women I listened to, she released a word saying that God has an order, but it may not happen in the order in which you're expecting. Because sometimes God will rearrange certain things, which pretty much explains why some of the things I've been expecting to happen in sequential order have not happened in sequential order this month, because the enemy is expecting it to happen in sequential order too. And God does not do it the way that you think. Sometimes he's like, I need this to happen, and this happens, and this happens, and this happens. And you're like, that was left, right, sideways, and then back. God needed that to happen because that way the enemy did not know what move he was making and when. So the door is being prepared to be open. Are you prepared to walk through it? And these are the areas and the certain things in which he's preparing to do. I may come back on here and release a different type of word in relation to this, but I wanted to hit on those points. Our God is preparing to open the door. The winds and the season is changing. So be prepared for the shifts in which the Lord is doing. I hope this was a blessing to you. This is Taj McCameron. Much love, faith, peace, and blessings. Bye-bye.